Oh my. It's been exactly a month. It's been exactly a month, and we have screen cancer. Time to try the other network. Clicked on the right. Okay. Why not? Yeah, it sure as hell has been a while. Hmm. Wait, how did I add them to inventory before? And obviously, it's a thing that runs once, but there's a few ways to do a thing that runs once. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, let's see. You have to create everything. That was how. I used level for it. So that value initializes to 0, and now I could have a flat that says, oh, do you have it? And then add it on there. But instead I said, oh, if level 0, because it initializes to 0, then we add it. And that. It's a clever way to cut down on used variables, but that is open to exploit. Hmm. There's also some logic with unmerging of items that I'm a bit worried about. Or not? Hmm. The fact that if some items get unmerged, then it adds. So if your rogue gets unmerged, it will add the greaves back to your inventory. But what if you had dropped the greaves? At which point you'd have extra set of greaves. But then I remember I also have a check where you need to have the Kuros and the greaves in your inventory in order to turn the Kuros into a robe, because we have to get rid of the greaves. So it shouldn't be anywhere else. It should be nowhere. The greaves, that is. It should be removed from inventory. And because you aren't able to do the merge if you've dropped them or stored them somewhere, then they're definitely gone. And so you don't have an extra. Besides, making sure there's only one of an item in the entirety of the game. Don't know of a quick way to do that. I can think of a way to do that. It's a very laborious way, which is to check every container in every cell all the time. By container, I do mean NPC inventories. I mean corpse inventories. I mean vases. I mean drawers. I mean desks. I mean chests. I mean ground references. That's technically not a container. Anywhere it could be, I'd have to check all those places all at once, all the time. That's not practical. I mean, if I find the IDs for all the... I could hard code each of the containers, yes. Or I could find a way to get container IDs and then just go through them. Yeah, I just let my hand hit the desk. If there's something that tells me, oh yeah, this item got created, that shortcuts the whole thing. Just keep an eye on that log and say, oh yeah, we made new items. If so, then just delete the new ones or something. Maybe delete the old ones. One thing I would like to do is to have all of this stuff, like the whole growth part, work on companions. Hmm. Snow companions aren't really a thing in Oblivion. I mean, they kind of are, kind of aren't. Because the companion AI is absolutely bare bones, which makes them an absolute pain in the ass to babysit. You have to babysit them. Skyrim, there's a tool. They're a bit more robust, or rather, they have a bit more depth to them. And then there's mods to make that expand that depth into being truly robust AI, or at least as robust as a Skyrim's iffy combat can allow. I don't think there's the same in Oblivion. I know there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of levers to pull for AI behavior. There's over 20 different values you can tweak. Definitely over 20 values you can tweak for combat behavior. But I don't think there's much of a way to change it on the fly. Hmm. I'm already getting a bit tired. Woke up quite early today. Like, not a full night's rest early. Somehow I still feel mentally coherent, but eh. eh. Slight headache in the front, I guess. Like if you have a mental block. Other than that, I can't really tell what other negative effects I've got, but I don't seem physically tired. Because I know I woke up. I didn't wake up absolutely exhausted or anything. I didn't wake up off rhythm. It's just too little sleep. Quality seemed fine though. Uh, Alright. So companions, because right now I have it set up. So all these triggers are if the player equips it, then the stuff activates. But logically speaking, it should work regardless of who wears it. Hmm. I mean, I can do equip and unequip blocks, though. Yeah, I can do the blocks, but I can also do the scripts. Hmm. Yeah, scroll too far? No, that wouldn't really be in here, would it? I mean, maybe in the initialization block I'd declare the scripts for equip and unequip, but I think they're just there. Yeah, call equip handlers. See, object percent. Remember percent signs of wildcard in strings. So, should go to O. And yeah, because it runs twice. Wait, really? Do I actually handle the bug? Hmm. Hmm. Where do I handle that? 'Cause clearly I've acknowledged that issue. The handlers don't quite work well. Oh, it's unequipped. Oops, I didn't read closely enough. Yeah, here we are. It was just very simple. Hey, we're running the unequipped block, and we're just going to decrement that. And then we got merge stuff, and merge stuff just makes things very, very more complex. Hmm. Let's equip handlers. Here, yeah, here's manager. Here's main. Mm. Alright, all the stats I need. I suppose that's one place to continue. So we need the self-references. And then we need the item variables, which for jewelry, or more specifically clothing, is just weight and value. There's no armor. There's no weight type, nor is there an armor reduction or an armor ratings. We need the base and the multiplier values. Alright, enchantment stats. Oh yeah! Now come back to the thoughts I had about as it was late, night eye, water breathing, water walking. For night eye, I was going to do a whole critical eye thing. Water breathing could be just fortify athletics while swimming. Water walking, I didn't really come up with too much. Hmm. Another way I could handle it is I could set in a restriction level because The issue with these non-scalar stuff is that you choose an enchantment effect to grow every 5 levels. You choose shield, and then it grows for 5 levels, and you get to pick another thing. It could be shield again, it could be something else. You pick water walking, and there's nothing to grow for 5 levels. Except you can go into the ini files and change that increment to 1 level, or say every 2 levels. So now you have a shield, and you grow a shield for 2 levels, and you get to pick again. So how actually detrimental choosing water walking is to your enchantments overall depends upon the setting there, of how often you pick it. How often you repick enchantment effects. So I could set up like a cooldown. So if you choose water walking, you literally can't pick a new enchantment for so many levels. For so many levels. That's one way to do it. Although, as I mentioned, with water breathing and night eye, I'm more inclined to add a scalar component to them. Say, hey, here's this powerful ability. Here's a minor benefit or a minor detriment. Kind of considered that as well to go along with it. Alright, there's the weight values. Weight types. Oh, yeah. XP. Even then, I wasn't quite satisfied with the whole fortify athletics while swimming thing. I mean, yeah, I brought up the whole water eye, clearing out the underwater fog, but there's already mods that do that, if not outright remove it, so it would feel moot to throw that in, and then all of a sudden your installed mods means that if you choose water breathing, you don't gain anything else. You have the wasted levels, which, from a balance perspective, to me, from my balance perspective, wasted levels are fine if you're getting an enchantment as strong as water breathing or water walking. There's a lot of water content to go through after all. I mean, it's not like all the water, not like there's like only 3 pools of water in the game and they're all waist high at most. It's not like that. If it was like that, then water breathing would have no point because there's no underwater, and water walking would barely have a point because it's not really a hindering movement in any way. You never really come across it. So the power of these 2 enchantments is dependent upon the map. And in Cyrodiil, there's a lot of water, especially as you get down south. Really just to the coast. You got oceans. So yeah, those are 2 very strong enchantments. They also wouldn't be that useful if drowning weren't so lethal. It's a very fast drain of health once you're out of air. Night Eye's that weird one out. Night Eye and Light, because stuff that helps you see in the dark really depends on your graphic settings and your graphics mods. You can very easily set it up so that you don't need any kind of light or assistance to see in the dark in Oblivion. Which is why I decided to go Critical Eye. And whether I make it a flat boost or a crit chance, not sure. Will be double damage. If it's a crit chance, I think. Might be something that I think I'll add in the settings to allow the crit multiplier to scale. But I'll set it to be flat by default. I considered having it use the stealth attack multipliers. So those are critical hits. Or at least they get called critical hits. And they're very high. It's like 6 times damage. It's really high damage. So, double damage feels appropriate in regards to that. At which point you just would gain a small amount of crit chance. Because you're going to be swinging a lot in combat if it's not replaced with another heavily modded thing. Like Duke Patrick's Combat Archery, I think it was called. 2 weapons in combat archery? Something like that. It was Duke Patrick's. I remember that much should at least be true. But then also, because like on average, alright, if you have a 50% crit chance and a 2 times crit multiplier, then on average your DPS is increased by 50%, so I could just say, screw the crit chance, you just gain 50% more damage. Eh. And light I would like to give some more effects, but it's hard to think of stuff. I think I settled on just giving it a high growth rate, so I don't have to invest that much into light. Walking. I kind of thought acrobatics at one point for water walking. Because you're being repelled by the water, you could use that to propel your jump. The thing is, Master of Acrobatics also gets to jump off types of water. So again, it feels like a moot fortify. I don't even remember when I refilled my mug. I'm sure you heard it. I'm sure I did, so I've probably placed it on the desk itself. I have 2 tables. A table to the left of lower height, which is where I keep most food items, on the desk with my keyboard and computer on it. There's some space between the keyboard and me on the desk, which is usually where I place my mug when I want to pour water into it. I mean, it's right under the monitor, so I can actually see how high the water level is. Water helps. Helps me feel a little less tired. Although all the darkness in the room is not helping. I know I'd prefer it dark, but like it's just making me want to sleep more. Which I was very tempted to just call this off tonight to get more sleep, but like it's been a month, man. I know it's just a huge string of coincidences where it keeps being the day I do the coding stream that I've had things crop up. But like, damn, man. Damn. Figure I'd try forcing this one out. another mug down the hatchet. My water jug is half filled with tea right now. It's diluted to half tea, half water. And I never asked what the tea flavor is. And I don't really taste tea. You smell it, and my sense of smell is tone deaf. I suppose it has to be quite strong for my nose to pick it up. So, I do like tea, but I generally don't taste much of it. So I usually prefer my tea strong so I can actually have a flavor, detectable flavor. So it doesn't taste like regular water to me. It does have a flavor, but it's not strong enough for me to really tell what kind of flavor. Bring that up because I know there are some teas that help you stay awake and some teas that put you to sleep. I don't know which one this is. Water walking. Video scripted effect. And actually, I remember looking through the functions, really skimming through them. I didn't really find any that could tell me that you're water walking. If I can't tell you're water walking, then I can't do a state type of thing like with water breathing. Because water breathing, there's clear functions that I can use to say, hey, are you swimming? But with water walking, I don't know. So if it's a constant effect thing, it comes with water walking of all enchantments. Should it be a really minor athletics boost? I'm kind of going like makes sense to pair with it kind of deal, but I should probably look for something more outlandish. You know, like resistance to water damage, because water damage is a damage type. I don't even know where it's used, but it's in the code. There's a freaking resist water stat. Oh, could that actually be drowning damage? Might even be lava damage, too. Hmm. No, lava damage might also be fire. Hmm. I mean, yeah, having it give you a scaling resistance to lava would be pretty nice, because you do go into Oblivion Gates a fair deal if you don't bum rush the main quest. I mean, if you do, then it's kind of a useless side attachment, but whatever. I think it's something better, we can go with that, but for now the question is, how would I implement that? So I'm not sure what lava is. Alright, let me put it this way. Lava, you know, you stand in lava, it's burning, it's just liquid stuff so hot it's liquid. You take fire damage, right? Not necessarily. There's games that make Dark Souls 3 actually makes lava a hybrid between fire and physical. Whereas in Dark Souls 1 it's just pure fire. And there's other games, and I forget the titles, but I remember this about it. Lava is its own damage type that only occurs while you're in lava. So, I don't know how lava works in Oblivion, and I should just look that up. UESP. Oblivion. Okay. Items, magic, factions, places, services, hints, whatever. Lava. Lord for L, online lava queen, online lava queen. Floor lava queen, online lava atronach, lava foot shuffle. Blessed crucible, lava queen, night lava whip, online, oblivion, water walking. Hopefully this links me to There's no link for. I don't see a hyperlink for lava damage. Hey, Sobit. Long time no see. I guess I'm doing okay. I realized that learning about the news was kind of keeping me depressed. Rather, learning about something bad happening that could affect me, there's nothing I can do about it, is a good recipe for just shutting down. So I've stopped looking at the news lately. And it's a. I still have ups and downs, but the downs aren't as low. So that's good. Uh-huh. But that doesn't quite tell me what lava damage is. I mean, even, I'm an avid gamer myself, so I can't fully disapprove of that. More like I'm in a similar boat to you. Or you're in a similar boat to me, I suppose. I helped you off on your own ship, and you just met back up with me later online. Weird how fate works. get anything on friggin' lava damage though. I should probably just look up control F for lava. Salt and rapid you want to resist fire enchantments. Alright. Now, I was just talking about the base of the tower with the lasers in them. Yeah, but instant death isn't quite right. I remember actually going into that and seeing the numbers. It deals 10,000 points of damage per second. And given you would have to have an absurd amount of health to even break 1,000, yeah, that is going to not instantly kill you, but it's not instant death, it's near instant death. Oh, yeah, I think I've mentioned this a few times before. I'm highly susceptible to lifestyle games. So, stream is kind of my one way of making sure that I play other things besides Warframe, or whatever replaces Warframe later on. Yeah, if not for Warframe, I have a huge library of games I can go through. I mean, I need a controller though. Right. We can go back to Ultra Kill. And there's still some itch.io games. And I don't even know what's in there. I don't remember. Don't fully remember. Yeah, there's a lot to go through. A good chunk of these I'd say I would prefer a controller with other than keyboard and mouse, so my options are limited. Yeah, you don't go to bed at like 8 anymore. I mean, it's nice waking up early, I can't deny that, but what's nice is being up at night. But when all the services are accessible during the day and not night, you kind of have to choose which half of the night you're up for. Yeah, it has become a rather how to describe it? An anchoring point? I don't know, it's because I think core habit's the right term, but it doesn't quite have the right impression. I don't know, it's something that's a bit. I guess I guess to kind of describe the streams as like sacred. Like I have to stream every night at the same time without a good reason, which of course not only helps peg down the flow of time, so the days don't necessarily flow into one another. I mean, they still can, but it's harder when you have something you do at the same time every day. And I forget what the second point was. Yeah, I'll try to drop by if you stream. I think I've mentioned this too. I'm not the kind of person who usually enjoys watching streams. I tend to. I think. I haven't watched many streams. What the ones that I do are usually by say game developers, where they're just explaining what the next update is and showing off stuff, which isn't really a stream in the sense that we're talking about. Otherwise, I think I have an expectation for it to be like an edited video, that you watch on YouTube, and streams just aren't that. It doesn't help that you end up that the highlights get put into videos and clips and not all the lowlights too. Because, well, it does lead to high expectations. I don't think that quite hit. I don't think that quite hits the nail on the head though, but. Hmm. Maybe it's similar to watching sports. Yeah, but you gotta start somewhere with that. I've considered that too, but I had a couple of options for the coding stream, and I was modding for now because I'm at least somewhat experienced in this. Although clearly not modding for a year has I'm not readily able to type out code. I can think through the concepts and design stuff, but implementing it is going to take some refreshing. Yeah, yeah. It's like, why would you watch a stream of the game when you could play the game yourself? But then also, why would you watch a video of the game by that same logic? I think it's because it's a tightly edited piece that's custom tailored for entertainment, or as opposed to the stream, which is just long play. And I mean, long play can be nice to watch every once in a while if you don't actually intend to play the game. I think the last long play I watched was for Half-Life. And then I played Half-Life because they had it free for a week, and they took it away. Okay, so I probably just have to look. Oblivion lava damage. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Lava encountered in Plains of Oblivion is technically treated as water that does damage rather than as fire. Whereas the construction set effect resist water damage. They protect against lava, but it's not available anywhere in the game. Okay, so I could put resist water damage with water walking. I could do that now. All right. Oh yeah, I think this is the default. Yeah, it's the default browser. Oh, kind of default. Oh, hello there. I think I tweaked the colors of it. I forget where though. Oh, yeah, here. Just a bunch of presets. Or I guess a desktop. Alright. Good to know it's there. I get their space backgrounds, but they have this whole blotch of white down there, and any white at all is not good for night vision. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't hold and scroll. Alright, a long light back a little then. Okay, targets. Fire damage. Notes. Not normally available as a spell, however, is possible. They gain access to it through inspirational powers, in which case custom spells can be created. Most provides access to resist fire's dumber. Yeah, resist fire does not provide any protection against lava. The lava encountered in the plane's moving is technically treated as water that does damage rather than as fire. There is a construction set effect, resist water damage, that will protect against lava, but is not available anywhere in the game. Okay. I'm saying, you'd think lava would deal fire damage, and in some games it does, but in other games it's just lava damage. Okay, so water walking. I guess I'll put these in here as the pluses, so resist water damage, fire breathing plus fortify athletics, F swimming, and night eye plus critical chance. I want to put it in there because I have a feeling that a less mentally capable me one day will look at this and be like, oh, so that's the effect code for these two effects. And no, it's the effect code for water walking. I just want the enchantment to have extra resist water damage, and I feel the double slash would at least hint at that. Yeah, I've gotten similar comments from Schliff and Alyssa that they kind of treat it as a podcast. Kind of makes sense when the connection sometimes just tanks to absolute crap and you just have 3 pixels to look at. Yeah, one shot's been really nice and has actually made me kind of regret not having a face cam because there are a number of instances where I just did not have the words to express things, and it would have been better if you saw my facial expression, but I don't think I'm prepared to do a face reveal. Nor do I have the equipment either. So what have I been up to though besides one shot? I mean, I've been inching closer to Master Rank 30 in Warframe. Been doing the things that I have uh, put aside. Like some of the raid bosses I soloed today. But with Warframe, honestly, if I could, I'd do the motion tracking stuff with an avatar. That I mean, two problems with that would be having a custom avatar made and then getting the tracking right. Because, well, yeah, I do enjoy the VTuber clips. Every time I try to watch a VTuber stream, it's just the way their images move just doesn't quite sit right with me. It's not articulate enough. Hmm. Yeah, there's the MR30 grind. Oh, I haven't looked into pricing for it at all, but I'm sure the good stuff is quite expensive. Usually is. What was I going to say? All right, the MR30 grind. And trying to revive my coding skills outside of modding by looking into GBA coding. On top of trying to shift more of my time into uh, productive thing. Is productive the right? I guess productive is the right word. I'm always hesitant to call other things besides gaming productive because that implies gaming isn't productive, but you still get mental benefits out of it, even if they aren't as great as other avenues, I suppose. Plus, I spent so much life of my time gaming to say, oh, it's been a waste of time. That's just saying my whole life's been a waste. And that's not something I want to say about myself. Okay, that's waste. And also, I would maybe have done a little bit more, and I mean a little bit more, if not for the fact that I've had to help with maintenance work around the house for the past couple of weeks. It's not every day, but maybe every other day or something. Like, throws a wrench into my plans. Hmm. Straight month since the last entry. Again, I didn't get too many hours of sleep today. I woke up quite early, so I don't quite feel tired, but I'm tough. Or do I? I don't know. I'm not quite up to snuff right now. All right, so this was uh, right. So water walking, resist water damage. After investigating what it does. I wonder if it also resists drowning damage too. I mean, I can see it. They have one value for drowning and being in lava. And so it's just like, hey, when your air runs out, all of a sudden this water is lava, mechanically speaking. You just turn the value on, you're taking water damage. And I just went with, oh, hey, we want to have lava in the game too. How do we do lava damage? Oh, we can just say you're drowning immediately. No air or anything. I'm like, oh, alright. That works. Hmm. So I'm not fully sure if I want to do Fortify Athletics while swimming. I mean, nice. That works. But also, you could also just have a Fortify Athletics effect, which makes it a little moot. Just a little bit, though. Hmm. More resist water? I don't want to do more resist water damage. I don't want to stack them. No stack. Okay, so I'm kind of the inverse. I need to do more coding practice because, as I've said, I just spend all of or most of my days just playing Warframe or doing other things. I really do read light novels now, actually, now that I think about it. Occasionally there's a video to watch, but mostly it's been reading light novels because Manga Dex is down still. And they've kind of replaced manga for eating away the time. Hmm. But yeah, I need to do more coding practice stuff. The biggest barrier I had to doing coding practice is there isn't anything I really have a strong urge to code, especially on the simple end. So since I can't think of anything to practice on or with, I just don't practice. But this stuff, one is just I learned to how to do commenting in college. Because, like, man, you're going to look at this code like a month later, like I am now, and then have no idea what any of this is, and the comments are going to save your ass. They're going to jog your memory, if not explain exactly what's going on. So it's best to write your comments as if you're writing them for someone else. Like, I write my comments as if someone else who at least knows the basics of coding is going to be looking at this later. They don't know what my code does. They all they have is just what's here. Huh. I haven't heard of those two. And then this work log though is just to go with it. Because if I'm going with the whole deal of like, yeah, other people are going to be looking at my work, if I'm writing this with the intent of other people reading this, then the work log makes sense just to say, hey, I didn't code every single day, but I still did stuff. And like also on the work log, I can say like, here's the issues I ran into, and here's why I chose to do things this way. Not always in depth enough like that. Sometimes they're very, very basic little notes. But other times they do go into more depth on why I did stuff. And I started doing the work logs though when I started modding. And then the change log, just because mods need change logs because they have versions. And you got it. These are patch notes, man. Gotta have patch notes. Oh yeah, I remember seeing this a while ago, a long time ago. I think this is how the rest of the world does it. Just America does it weirdly. It's just the biggest unit first, and then the second biggest unit, and then the smallest unit. And you could do day, month, year as well. That's also fine. And then we just do month. No, actually. Oh, right. I changed how this display. I think I changed how it's displayed. If not, then day, month, year. All right. No, wait a minute. That's year. Yeah, year, month, day. I did change how it's displayed. So remember, the default in America is just month, day, year. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's one way to say it. May 22nd, 2021. But you could also say it's the 22nd of May, 2021. But also, from a coding's perspective, the year is better, because if you put the day first, then that means the 22nd of every month. If you organize it by name, and they're named by their dates, you want to put year first. Otherwise, if you put day first, you're going to have the 22nd of January followed by the 22nd of February followed by the 22nd of March. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. There isn't really an exact science to it. It's just like, yep, do yeah, do the 1.0.1 when you have just a little patch to put in there, a little change. 1.1 is like you got a patch going on. Then 2.0 is like, well, this is kind of a different thing, but technically it's the same stuff as before. It's very different now. Alright, so after enchantment stuff, in order of what I see in Manager, I should be doing XP things. There's also enchantment variables for growth rates, and so many. So many. And I could honestly try dividing them by the actual enchant effects. Like I actually have Fortify Athletics grow at a different rate from Fortify Blade. Man, that adds so many more variables and some. Not so much more work. It does add a bit more work, but not a lot. Because it's gonna be. It's just needing the functions that increment the stuff to handle the added values. It's not hard coded. If it was hard coded, that would be a lot more work. Sometimes hard coding is just the only way to go, or is the fastest way to go, but it's not the maintainable way to go. Man, in this Faragon, I hard coded the table for choosing forms. Because I didn't quite get the arrays to work in OBSE. And I don't know how I did not understand arrays because I just remember trying it. It didn't work how I thought it would. I'm like, all right, I guess I just won't use this and do it the hard way. And then with Zephyros, I'm like, yeah, I'll just use arrays and I'll buckle down and learn it. And I just looked at it, and within 5 minutes, and no more than 5 minutes, I'm like, how did I not understand these? And I did do Spheragon. The only thing I can guess is that I was on very little sleep or something and just did not have the mental capacity to learn things that day. But yeah, because of that, I haven't really been adding forms to do Spheragon, nor do I have much of a desire to, because if I add one form, I have to change 3 functions, and I'll have very long lists to make sure everything matches up. Very tedious. With Zephyros, though, I did the arrays, and I just have a giant ass table of values, and everything just pulls from it programmatically. Like the whole choosing your form list is just made on the fly by reading the table. Like, where the heck even was that function? What scripts are in here? Is it called table? No, probably called menu or something. Mesh menu. Yeah, the menu for changing meshes is honestly fairly short. Like, for all the hundreds of items I have, it's just this function. This moderately sized function. Makes a coherent table out of... There's a size limit to the scripts, and so this table is 4 functions long because it's just... I can't fit it all inside one script. I have to divide it and turn it into one giant matrix with all these file paths. And this one little function just looks at all of that and makes a table out of it. With paging, and a table of contents. Yeah, just this whole thing is... Yeah, table of contents. Just this whole chunk. Yeah, there's a lot of armor things. I mean, there's 6 slots for armor. So it's going to be a lot anyways, but like, there's a lot of armor sets. Then we got the individual pages, which again is pretty short. Pretty short. And then we just display the stuff. And then we just get whatever the heck interactions you have. I mean, this is pretty script heavy stuff. This is for making an armor set that grows more powerful as you take damage while wearing it. And it grows more powerful in many ways and is highly customizable. You could do things a lot simpler. Like, a lot simpler. I mean, if you're just... The construction set is geared towards level design and quest creation, and the scripting stuff is supposed to be pretty light. Mine isn't a level or a quest. It's items, and they're heavily freaking scripted. I have had to finagle this so hard. Let's look at this, I guess. I think I deleted the extra stuff to save space, so I just kept the zip files. Oh, did I not even... Well, there you go. As you can see, there's just a readme in the docs. I added on the work log and the change log and everything else later. Goes Agramon. Docs, yeah, here's scripts. And this one's just 4 scripts. This one is just the growth part. It's like, yep. This is a sword. You equip it. You smack things with it. It gets stronger. That's all it is. Just 4 scripts. And there's like, I think this script was just to prevent you from enchanting over it, because I think it starts unenchanted, so you can repair it. We have the on hit thing, so you can tell when you get hit stuff, and then we have, yeah, just the on equip flag, I think, on equip block. It's very small. And then we just take that, and we add a lot of customization to it, like a lot. Like you can pick the enchantments as it's growing, and you can pick the form at any time. And now we have a whole lot of meshes. Like a whole lot of meshes. And textures, of course. And an ini file now. A very long ini file with all the values, so you get to customize exactly how fast it grows in every aspect. Yeah. A lot of it, though, is key codes, so that we don't have to keep looking at the wiki other pages online. Technically, there's controller support here, because, I mean, there are button codes, but I don't really... controller support for Oblivion by default isn't that good, so... Or rather, it's kinda unusable. At least by modern standards. So, they're unbound, but it's there. It's there. I mean, we got hotkeys, we got mimicry. Oh yeah, I can mimic stuff. That was like one of the last features I added in. You can just take any item in your inventory and have this stuff copy it. That way, if I don't say I can't do, or rather, I used to not be able to do more Oblivion. Thanks to you, I can. But I used to not be able to do more Oblivion. And we got a sword from there. And I don't support it because I don't have the files from it. Well, that doesn't matter, because mimicry. You just get the sword and you just copy it, and there you go. Now you have this Fairygon looking like that sword. And did I mention you can rename it too? All the way up at the top, very first line. That's the name. And we got our base stats and our growth rates for those stats, and then we have the modifiers for each subtype. I mean, this is just adding a hell of a lot of customization to something that nobody really asked for, but a lot of people enjoyed. Versus just making a claymore that grows stronger, and as you saw, went from 4 scripts up to this long-ass ini, and all those meshes. And I think it was 47 scripts? It's like a 12-fold increase in the number of scripts. And you even have a default ini, which is just a carbon copy of the ini inside a function, because I can't fully trust people to actually know how to edit this, and they may just completely fuck it up. And so instead of there being an error, we just load what's already in the code, and it's fine. It runs. Oh, there is so many. And there's so many globals too. I mean, this is just a list of scripts I have to call in main. And this is the rest of the scripts, because I thought main should have a complete list. Otherwise related is just scripts that call the current one rather than other way around. Then we have globals. Not too many, actually. There's a hell of a lot more globals in Zephyros. Because globals are one of the very few things that actually get saved in your save file. Otherwise, I wouldn't use globals. And we have our description, which going by paragraph to describe each block of code. Very brief, we have the engine objects. Then we have the variables, which are a lot of variables. Like a lot of variables. This is all just to allow customization. All just to allow customization, we have a much larger mod. Yeah, I mean, I totally get why games only have like a small difference when it's your choose your own adventure kind of thing. And why the big choices are only happen at the very end, because like, hot damn, the work you have to put into just to allow for every player option. Now, where was model field? Yeah, I had to hard code table of contents because I didn't understand arrays, and I had to hard code the paging, and then this was this is the actual pages themselves and like what's shown on all the buttons. As you can see, it's all hard coded. You have the names here, like choose a form, cancel back, mercy, trust, kinslayer, hope, despair, sorrow, truth, next. And it's hard coded for all of these pages. And if I add one thing, I have to make sure everything's properly shifted. Because you only have 10 buttons per message box. And this is just this hard coded table. Because there's also. Where the hell is it? Up there. There is random model, I think, was also a bit hard coded. Yeah, with here it's because I need to know how many total there are in each subsection. Yeah, that actually is a fair point, because I think what I started with for this was it just kind of kept snowballing bigger and bigger. I honestly just started with, hey, why don't I just make an item that's like a higher tier than Daedric to compete with all the HP bloat, and also the fact that my character is like level 109 at this point, and Daedric is level 25, I think, or if not level 20 items. Like, I should have higher power gear by now, right? So I just made that gear. And then I thought, well, after this, I could start a new playthrough and carry this over, because now I'm fond of the stuff I made. But it's going to be way overpowered for a level 1 character. But it's also going to be really tedious to just make a, like a level version of each one and then maybe carry it around. And maybe like remember to go pick up a new one or something. It'd be much easier to just have one and not have to worry about it getting outscaled. I'm like, well, let's make a weapon that grows with me. And that was Shurifen. And that one is probably one script, honestly. Obviously, I did not copy and paste them into text files, so I'm going to have to find and open it if I even kept it. In fact, I think I removed the EXPs for Agramon and Spharagon. So, right. Okay. I don't think I can order them alphabetically. Okay. I don't think it's here. Never mind. But all I really did in that one, I think it was pretty similar to Acrimon, and the fact that it was very few scripts, maybe like one, maybe like 3 scripts at total. And it was just, you'd hit a thing, you get some XP, and then once you hit the XP threshold, I then just had a script that was just a modified version of Dawnfang and Dustfang script, because all I did was I looked through the scripts already in the game for something that does similar. And I think, what was it? Yeah, there's like the Dawnfang script, I think. I guess there's a couple of scripts on Dawnfang. There's like 2. Yeah, this was one of them. Oh gosh, what was the other one called? I don't think it was called Dawnfang or Duskfang. Let's see for Sheogorath. See, like 29 or something? Portcullis, runes, blah blah blah. It was whatever the heck this. I think it was an early quest you get Dawnfang and Duskfang. Tisky Blade script, I think. Yeah, this one's pretty. Yeah, I think this was it. This was the script that they have for Dawnfang and Duskfang, which is just like, hey, if it's, if time of day changes, and probably have it in inventory, then the blade will change form, and then we take a look at the amount of kills you have, and based on the amount of kills, we give you the appropriate other form. And just like, alright, I'll just do it with, like, say, XP for hitting things when you hit a threshold, then we just go through a list and we just remove the version you have in inventory and add in another one of high level. So I made like 21 versions of Shuriken. And you just start with level 1, and when that leveled up, you lost level 1 version, you gain level 5 version, and level 5 got replaced by level 10, and so on and so forth. Until you got to, I forget, that's probably level 50 or something, right? It had a limit, basically. And so I just replaced your sword every time you leveled up with a stronger version. Which means I had to make a lot of versions of Shuriken. And with Agramon, I'm just like, let me just do the exact same end result, but with only 1 item in the engine instead of 21. And all via scripts. And that was Agramon. And Dude's Faragon, I'm just like, there are some people asking if this can be a hammer or if it can be one-handed. I'm going to one-up them and make it everything. And I made it everything. And then I realized I forgot some stuff like bows and staves, so I added those. And then I added more stuff. And more stuff. Over time. It just snowballed. And then with Zephyros, I'm just like, well, I have all these features for Dusfarion. And now I have to be sure they're here in Zephyros. That definitely added to my plate. It definitely made things a bit difficult. But yeah, the Oblivion engine, it's old, it's simple. Yeah, actually, there are roughly 10,000 lines in here. In Zephyros, I think, alone. I think. One of them has roughly 10,000 lines in it. Because I told you, Dyspherigon was like 47 scripts, right? Zephyros is like 100 scripts. Like, it's going from 1 item to 6 drastically increased the complexity of it all. Drastically made everything Everything harder. I think I can show that if I... Because definitely Zephyros is here. Yeah, that's there. And we have Growth Armor Zephyros. Set as active. Yeah, the coding streams generally go like this. I do a little bit of actually coding, like advancing, and the rest of it's just talking about all the shit I've been through. Yeah, what I have to say is get down to the simplest core feature, do that, and then just add on to it. Like, once you have experience making this stuff, you can try making a fully fleshed out mod all at once, like how I did Sephiroth, when I knew what I wanted because I just made Deuce But if you don't just make Deuce and Sephiroth as your first mod, no, you have to build up to it. I made personal mod that I never released. They're very simple. And I'm like, hey, what if I expand on that? And I made Zerafin. And what if I refine that? I made Agramon. What if I expand on it? A lot. And then we have Deuce And what if I made it armor? And that's Sephiroth. And now I just have to complete it with jewelry. And then I have to put it all into one ESP, so I don't have three ESPs. But also, when I'm putting it all into one ESP to rewrite it all to my new, according to my new experience and standards, which is going to be a hell of a problem because, as I've said, there's over 10,000 lines to rewrite. I'm going to be sorely tempted to copy and paste functions in there, especially if they don't look particularly wrong. I'm definitely going to end up doing that. There's just too many functions. I won't be able to hold myself back. I won't be able to just say, let's rewrite this all from scratch using the old stuff as reference. No, I'm probably just going to end up copying and pasting a lot. Yep. I'd say first just make a fishing job with one reel, or rather just one fishing rod, and one type of bait, and one type of fishing place, and then you focus on dividing it. You can keep your future features in mind because I said there were a lot of scripts for Zephyros. There's a lot of scripts. Where was I going? Right. Yeah, that's how you do it. I'd say start with like a basic tutorial, do something that has you do something simple, and then just at least what I did is just list of functions. This tab is up all the time, along with document of extra functions also up all the time. It's just those two things, and I just control F through it all. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what your version 1 should be. Now, if you're confident enough, you could try to code that one bait shop and uncustomizable rod as if you were going to have all the fully fleshed out features. Like, I guess a way to. I think I'd explain that better with an example. Like, if you're going to have an array of rods to choose from, then you make the array. And you're only going to start with one rod just at the beginning. Then you make the array of rods, and you populate it with one rod, and that's it. So that way, when it comes time to add in the other 20 rods, you already have an array ready to go. You don't have to rewrite that section. That's like if you're confident that you have an idea of how you're going to do the other features already. But also, premature optimization is the bane of all evil. Not the bane, the root of all evil. Because nothing will get you into as much trouble programming as optimizing prematurely. Well, I guess not knowing what you're doing can get you into trouble, but like optimizing too early, you don't actually know what needs optimizing and what doesn't. You're just taking guesses. Sometimes you cut out just a little bit too much. Exactly. And then once you've added those 5 rods, you then find out, oh, so I can customize them like this, and then you start working on an update, and then you make the update, and then you release it, and nobody asked you to make the update. You just wanted to make the update. What was I going to show? Forget what I was going to show. Yeah, that would mean classifying the rod as a weapon. Yeah, you'd have to really fudge some things to make it behave like a fishing rod if you have it under the hood classified as a weapon. Oh, really, what was I going to show? I mean, there's form menu. Oh, right, there's something else entirely. Oh yeah, this is the script that actually tracks what damage types you get hit by. Because armor rating in Oblivion only reduces physical damage taken, but there's elemental damage. So I have to track how much elemental damage you take, but that was really complex, and the listeners for it all weren't really working right. Hmm. Oh, I think enchant choices were hard coded. Yeah, enchant choices are hard coded because this list is not changing. 200 view. Yeah. Yes. Alright, so let's open up. Uh, not that. Manager. And where was the one that merged them? The prep merge? Oh, whoops. Not prep merge. So manager and not get merge. That was something else. Set merge, maybe. Yeah, set merge. Those 2 scripts. Now I kind of remember. Alright, so 2 things I wanted to show was how many globals there are in Zephyros. Because you saw that like modestly sized list into Spheragon. Zephyros has hundreds of globals. It has a lot of globals. Like a lot of globals. Because I need flags to tell me if an item is equipped. I need values to tell me what the meshes are. I need values. There's a debug flag. I also there's the enchantments. There's like, how many enchantments are there? There's 40 enchantments that you can choose from. 40 total effects for each part. So times 6, which means there's already 240 globals just to keep track of the levels for all those. And there's levels for the items themselves. Yeah. Oh boy. And the mimic stuff. Oh boy. Oh boy. And the stuff that logs how much of each damage type you've taken, so that way we can do the elemental resistances and what weight type they are, because that has to be saved. And the XP stuff. It's a lot. Mostly it's the enchantment levels that takes up like the bulk of all the globals, but like it's a lot of globals. It's a lot of globals. Yeah, because it's globals are generally a bad idea in coding because anybody can access a global. You make a global, and yeah, it's accessible anywhere from your code. It's nice. You can use access from wherever, but anybody else can access it too. There's no security there, so it's not a good idea because like you could have a time-sensitive function that's reading a value from a global, but then the global value changes. I mean, maybe you want that in some older hardware, like say for interrupts, like you want to check if, trying to read the mouse and stuff, you're doing drivers for things, maybe you want that. But probably you don't. Probably you don't, especially if you have to read from the global multiple times. At which point you want to make it static, which that modifier, at least in C++, makes it so that you can't edit the global. But at that point, having a global is a little moot then if you can't really edit it. Then why not just declare it as a constant? Anywho, I have to use globals in Oblivion's engine because, as I said before, nothing gets saved except for globals and strings. Every other variable goes poof when you quit game. So everything that needs to be persistent between saves, I have to store in a global. And the only thing keeping these globals from getting messed up is the fact that nobody else knows what they're called. Any other mod can access these globals, but who else actually knows what these globals are called unless they actually read the code and make a mod based on my mod, And there's, of course, a lot of scripts, but the script I wanted to show was a set merge, which is a bit of a complex mess. So there's a whole deal with changing form. Like you got your iron armor, you can make it look like steel armor, you can make it look like dwarven armor, you can make it look like leather armor. You can make it have the stats of leather armor. But what if you want to make it a robe? Well, a robe takes up 2 slots, the body and the leg slot. You gotta account for that then. It means you gotta fuse your Kuros and your Greaves into one item. And that's what this function does. It also unfuses them too, to make sure that merging and unmerging goes properly. And oh my god, because I didn't realize this until I got down to like the end. So I had written, hold on, I probably have to get down to like line 4,000 or something. Yeah, about here, about line 2,000, towards the end, which is where I put the inventory menu code. Where I'm like, oh yeah, we're going down to like changing the meshes for stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, you could turn it into a robe, which takes up multiple slots. None of my code accounts for that right now. And I had to rewrite half of this. And make this mess. Like, if I had remembered that from the start, this would probably be neater. And it would probably be better designed, but it works right now. And it has to do a lot. It really has to do a lot. Let's see if I walk through it. So, alright. So we first have to send it the slot we want to change to, the default slot values for the items, because the Kuros is, I don't remember the exact value, but say the Kuros is value 2, and the head's value 1, and the greaves are value 3. So we just have those numbers in there, just an array, just telling me what the default values are for each things. Data, which was, oh right, I think that was stats. Oh yeah, and here's the thing, because I made this programmatically, or at least, I don't remember the exact term. Programmatically is probably not the right term. Scalar might be the right term. Point is, I made this so it's not just designed for turning things into robes and back into normal stuff. No, it's designed for merging and unmerging items. Any number of items. Any number. There are armor sets you can get from mods that are entire one pieces. It's one piece for every single slot, and this function can handle that. It can handle merging all of the items together into one and then unmerging them back into what they used to be. And we got the heavy, which is just the flag for like, hey, is this heavy or light armor? We got our stats. We got, oh, so data is probably the mesh data then. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of why I did it, because it's just like, I had 2 requests in this Fairground, which was just, can you make this a hammer from one guy? And the other guy was like, can you make this one-handed? And I'm like, I'm gonna one-up you, and I'm gonna make it completely customizable. And I extended that to the armor. And oh boy. Oh boy. I think, oh right, because this is an array that contains references to every single armor piece, and I is the index in this array for the current piece we're going to change, and then a debug flag. Because there is a global debug flag, but maybe we want to set it something else. Would be neat to see what happens. There are a couple of bugs in these mods, though, and they're really elusive ones. Like, I can't reproduce them, I think. One of them I've had, which is with Dusfaragon and the bow. So, you don't actually hit anything with a bow. So you can't gain XP the normal way with a bow. Instead, I have to make a listener that I attach to the arrow that you have drawn on the string, and then follows the arrow as you fire it. So then I get told when the arrow impacts something, and then I can add XP after I check the thing you hit was a living, fleshy target. The problem is that the OBSC, it's on the OBSC side because I don't see anything in my own code to address that could be causing the issue, but sometimes it just stops working. And like you make the listener for the arrow, and then it just never fires. Like the arrow hits something, and the listener never goes, yeah, this arrow hit something, do the XP thing. Yeah, so, okay. Okay. So, here's the engine objects. I usually keep this in the left monitor just because, keeping the workspace uncluttered. Oh, this is the enchantments. Never mind. Never mind. Here's the armor. See, we have object slots for everything. And guess what? You can set it to literally every slot. To every slot, or whatever other slots you want. these all have integer values, so, and they're bit values. If you look at it bitwise, it just ticks a bit to tell you which slot it should be. So you just tick multiple bits. So I just tick those two and I want to make it a robe. That's what robes are. Upper body, lower body. In fact, if I look for would it be under apostle? That is a robe. Yeah. Also robe. Upper body, lower body, hand. Monk robe. Upper body, lower body. But yeah, behind the scenes though, what it is I go down this list, just straight down it, and the first one I come across is what is the part that remains behind. So if you make a robe, the Kuros inherits the Greaves stats, and then the Greave just gets deleted from your inventory. And then when you unfuse them, we then of course return the Kuros to normal, and then add the Greaves back to you as they were. Because I also have to keep track of what your Greaves used to look like. Because as I've said, they don't have fixed appearances. You decide what the meshes are, and I have to keep track of that stuff. On top of the stats and the durability. So we have to pass in all this data, just to be sure we have everything right. We set the debug flag. We then get the reference to the current armor piece that we're going to use, I guess, as the main piece. Behind the scenes, that is. Yeah, like here's the example. Like you have leather greaves and an iron cuirass and iron boots, or rather dwarven boots. Weird ensemble, but let's just go with it. And then you want to make the aqua robe. So your leather greaves and your iron cuirass get fused and become the aqua robe. More specifically, the greaves get removed from inventory, and then the cuirass gets changed into the robe. And then you go and do an even fuller body piece that includes the boots. So now you have, I don't even, like Mythic Dawn outfit, I think takes up 4 slots. It takes up like the hands, the feet, legs, and body. You do that, they're all merged together. And then you take Mythic Dawn piece and you go like, all right, I want to turn it back into I want to turn it into an ebony cuirass. And that happens. And the greaves and the boots get added back. But, oh boy, what was it? I forget the exact stuff because there were some tricky things that could happen with this. There are some tricky things that could happen with it. That's actually a rather simple example. That's just like returning back what used to be there. I forget, but there were some very tricky things that could happen because you could. I think it was there was some modded stuff that could take up the upper body and the hands, or the upper body and the legs. And because the upper body is the actual piece you still have, you could honestly switch between the two if you change the upper body's appearance. So you had to keep track of what the legs used to look like there. Oh, now I remember. Both, actually. Hold on. Let me go to the mod page. And while I talk about that, right, this was the issue that I had. The fact that, let's say you have leather greaves, leather boots, and then you have the iron cuirass. And then you have the one piece pants set that takes up the legs and the boots. Like Shadow Plate, I think was a mod set. You have Shadow Plate that converts your leather boots and greaves into one piece. Then you have your robe that then you have your iron armor. And you decide, I want to have this be an aqua robe. Well, the thing is, now you actually still have the greaves in your inventory technically, so that's not really an issue. We don't have the boots in there anymore. So you make the robe, but that has to consume the greaves, which are currently the 2-piece. With the feet, it has to detect that and return the boots to you back in their leather form, which is fine and all. But now we have to go. Now we have your aqua robe and your leather boots are back. And then we want to go, all right, I want to go back to Iron Cuirass, then turn the Iron Cuirass. And then, I forget which way it resolves. Either we return to you the leather greaves, or we return to you the shadow greaves and remove your leather boots, so we go back to refusing those two. Like, you have to handle stuff like that. Or rather, I think initially I just said, fuck it, I'm just going to make it iron armor if we go back that far. If you have to go back 2 steps or something. But I eventually went, you know what? I can do it. And so I did it. These 3 are gifts. And, alright, here's mimicry. You just right click it. None of that stuff's getting equipped, but the meshes are being applied. So you can just take anything in your inventory and right click it, and there you go. This was a weight change, so you can change them one at a time, or you can change them all at once. And here we have the, yeah, as I was showing. As you're asking, you can do it all at once, or you can do it one at a time. And yes, I did have to go through all the meshes to make sure that I actually made sets. I had to code in the sets. And those random too. Random for everything, random for One Piece. Because why the fuck not? And you can save sets. Right. I had serialization for this. You asked that question just as I say it. It's shown in this GIF. Let's see. Where's the tune? Save set. Set 1. Right there. And then I just do random all a bunch. Then load set. Set 1. There you go. Thing is, I initially thought to say let you name the sets, the slots, so you can actually like very easily tell what outfits were. But then I have to think of like when do I prompt you to name a slot? And that was like because you don't have that many button options on these. You can really just left click it. So then I have to kind of prompt you every time, which may be annoying, but all right, you go with it. But then I tried to actually implement it, and trying to detect text input was very, very tricky, and I didn't really get it. So I just didn't do it, and they're all named set. Maybe they're in the ini file. Maybe you can rename them in the ini file. So if you can rename them in the ini file, then I mean, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly what I had in mind when I made this. There's 8 outfit slots because of how many buttons there are. Unless it was not. Yeah, there's 8. As I said, there's these windows only allow up to 10 buttons, and we have one button constantly held by cancel, which allows you, like, you hit cancel and the entire menu closes out. Meanwhile, hit back, you go back a page. So there's 8 buttons. I could implement paging and let you have more sets, but nobody's really complained about having too few sets, so I'm gonna just leave that be. In fact, I'm considering whether to add paging or not for the next release. Now then, do I let you name the sets? That is a question. Probably not. Probably hard-coded. Yeah, it's hard-coded. Oh, but you can change how it's actually referred to. So this whole stuff here,
In fact, I have to pee, so I think I'll take a brief break. About 1 to 2 minutes is usually how long it takes me to pee. BRB. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. Me, honestly, my answer to that problem of carrying too much stuff is just add more carry weight. Anywho, this stuff, you get to name it. I mean, I know with this Faragon you get to name the weapon itself, but the thing is that we have a set of items, so in messages that like pop up to refer to it, they have to refer to it as a set. Thank you. So, gosh, where was it? Manager, it should be very towards the top. In fact, there are functions for it, because here's the thing. This manager may seem very long, but it could be a hell of a lot longer, because there's a lot of functions. I made a hell of a lot of functions just to shorten the code by a lot, which is why there's so many scripts. So a lot of it is just simple things. I think there was like a set name thing or something. Yeah, there's like set name. This one, it just takes some values and hands you back the full name. So this function just takes the values right here, takes these flags and these strings to make one name, so you can actually have, using default values, you could have Zephyros Kuros, or the Kuros of Growth, or the Zephyros Kuros of Growth, or just Kuros. Whatever you want. Because this way you don't have to, like, if you want to call this Zephyros Kuros, you don't have to change everything to Zephyros Kuros. You don't have to do that. Instead, you can just set the flags here to have the prefix, and then set the prefix to Zephyros, and there you go. It's done. It loads into your inventory. That's like the final step of all this, if I ever get to it, is to add a quest that gives you the items. But for now, it's just you load into the game with a mod ticked, and they're just popping into your inventory with a lore appropriate message too. where was it? Because there was like I had whole functions for doing the flavor text. Flavor text was definitely hard. It took a few days. They're short functions, relatively speaking, but thinking up good sentences is hard. I think it was it called get flavor text or something? No, flavor message and flavor box. Because yeah, that's true. Like those two, and then we do this. All right, so flavor box was right. So it's the fact that there's two ways to display messages in Oblivion. There's a message box, which is how I do the menus. That's what pops up here. But you can barely see it because of the freaking GIF compression and probably the other compression too. Maybe here. You can probably see that there's text there in the upper left. That's the other type of message. Like this is just called message in the code, and then we have message box for the, the box. So this is all the flavor text for message boxes. So, and it's randomized. It's randomized. So I get a random number between 0 and 100, and then I get a mode of like what type of box we're getting it for, and then we just pass those two values, and we get a message. They put in the comments the actual percentage of each message popping up. I think mode's, yeah, so mode 0 is when you hit the level cap. So here's the thing, there is a level cap. You can unset the level cap, you can lower it, you can raise it, you can do whatever you want with level cap. You can even have the level cap set to scale with your level, and with your fame, and with your quest complete. You can do what you want with level cap. The default one is set to like 201, so it's pretty high up there. I don't even think I got to level cap with how long I played. So, you set it to whatever you want. Heck, you could set it to 1 and then it just will never grow at all. Whatever. But when you hit the level cap, and the reason why I have multiple messages is because if you have it say scale with your level, that means that, you can hit level cap multiple times throughout your playthrough. Because if you end up leveling up faster than this armor is. So we have a lot. And we pass it the name that we're using for the entire thing. Collective name. Like Zephyrus has become an impenetrable second skin. Zephyrus reaches the apex of its power. Snug to your frame, Zephyrus is like a second home. Whatever mechanism has caused Zephyrus to grow thus far has stopped. Magic or missile, Clara Club, Zephyrus protects you from all. And then there's the full reset, because there's another feature I have in here that, yes, you can disable, before I even tell you what it is. It delevels on breaking. Because I know there's going to be somebody out there who does not take any care at all of their gear. And this is just a little thing to punish them. But you can turn it off on the ini file, or you can make it less punishing. So the full reset is basically if it goes down to level 1 from the D-level, if it breaks and hits level 1, then we have these messages. Bent, rent, and sent to scrap heap store, Zephyrus preserves mundanity. Tattered and neglected, Zephyrus crumbles to near dust. Mundane, that is all Zephyrus is now. Oh, Zephyrus crumbles bit by bit, then you feel something incorporeal slough off too, something important. Then there's if you don't go down to 1. Rough hewn leather or coster joints, as if yours clause for power it no longer holds. Yeah, but again, I have it. I'll have to keep up with the file, don't I? Okay, so I can have it, and coincidentally, I just happened to hit the level cap stuff. So, oh yeah, you can also set how much XP is required for each level too. So you can have it set to a static level cap. You can have it level cap keep match step with your level. You have it match step with your fame. You have it match step with the sum of your light and heavy armor skills. You can have it match lockstep with the average. I'm not sure if you can set the threshold. Oh, kind of. So here also contains the break stuff. So this setting here determines how many levels are lost when you hit the threshold for it being counted as broken, because it's 6 items, not just 1. This is how many items need to break for it to count as the set being broken, which is half of it by default. There's also a weird thing where the fact that if you damage yourself, I didn't want that to count as XP, because that's a very exploitable thing. But the thing is that if you damage yourself, the game treats it as having no attacker. Like, you just took damage out of nowhere. The heavens have smote you because you cast damage self. And the thing is, if you get hurt by a trap, exact same thing. The heavens have smote you. So either you get XP from traps and self-damage, or neither, which is an unfortunate trade-off. You also set the difference between heavy and light armor too, which are right here, which is the AR multiplier and the weight multiplier. And I'll tell you, this might not look too great. It's a lot worse in vanilla. Heavy armor gives you about 33% more. Actually, heavy armor gives you 50% more AR over light. Same here. But the weight is 4 times more, not 2 times. That's pretty absurd. HD level, there's. Oh, yeah, and also because, as I said, so you can actually repair it initially, because you need journeyman repairman to repair enchanted armor. I have it in. It starts off unenchanted, and then when it hits a certain level, by default, it should be level 11. So after 10 level ups, it'll then gain an enchantment, or rather, it will ask you to pick an enchantment. Well, I chose heavy armor, so as I said, I had high heavy armor skills, so it didn't really weigh anything to me, and I had a lot of feather and a lot of strength, so I didn't really care for carrying capacity. It's a metal bow. But yeah, even then, 60 might be a bit too much. Anywho, because this starts off unenchanted, there isn't really a way, or at least there isn't an obvious way to prevent you from enchanting them. Like, you could just go to one of the enchanting altars, get a sigil stone, and just apply it to Sephiroth or to Spharagon. And now, well, we have a problem. For one, once the enchantment kicks in, the growing enchantment, if left as is, it would just overwrite the one that you put on there. It could account for it. At which point, then wouldn't it just logically have the enchantment that you, the player, put on there grow as well and not be static? But then, what effects should you put on there, and how should it scale? And oh my god, that's so much more. That's so many more values to keep track of. I could say like a percentage growth, but here's the thing: you have like resist magic, but then grow at the same rate as like absorb health or fire damage, and those are of objectively different power levels. So then I'd have to get a growth rate for each magic effect in the game, and there's like 50 of those, and that's just a lot of things to kind of tweak and balance. And like, uh. So yeah, I just decided no, I just won't let you enchant them yourself. You can't enchant it through the normal means. So I have message boxes that pop up. Because while I can't stop you from enchanting them, what I can do is detect the fact that you've enchanted them and then undo it. I refund you the soul gem, I refund you the sigil stone, and I return the items back to their mundane state. And I give you a message box to tell you that shit ain't gonna work. So hopefully you don't try again, but these are randomized, so you could try again. And there is a 0.1% chance of you getting a very non-lore friendly error message. I honestly have to wonder if anybody has gotten that, because nobody is like taking a screenshot and trying to post it or anything. No one's mentioned it to me yet. If they've gotten the Easter egg error message, I doubt anybody's really tried to enchant it. They probably got the idea that you probably shouldn't enchant it yourself. And those who did probably tried it once got a message and like, all right, I won't do it anymore. But somebody's gonna get error 1048 sigil stone denied. Yeah, stuff like sparks fly as Zephyros spits out the sigil stone, retaining its former self, or Zephyros asserts existence. Yeah, I had to be careful with this, especially because, like, I don't know if the collective name you're going to have could be used as a singular or a plural. So it adds another ruffle to making these. Try as you might, no amount of prodding, probing, or pushing will enforce your enchantment onto Zephyros. Soul Gem remains inert, seemingly refusing to go anywhere near Zephyros. Zephyros refuses both your will and the anima accompanying it. You swear to hear a distant, muffled voice mock you as the enchantment rebounds off of Zephyros. And there's an error message that you should honestly never ever get, because I am the only encoder on here, so you really shouldn't get this. But if somebody else decides to modify this, you might. Which is just message mode out of range. In case it's just a catch-all, in case something else pops up. So that's the message boxes, and there's the messages in the upper left corners. These have to be short because those messages go away after a few seconds, as opposed to the message box that you have to click away. So you got stuff for when it's added to your inventory. There's actually 3 messages you can get, and they have different weights. There's a 50% chance, a 40% chance, and a 10% chance. So there is a little bit of variety when you make new characters. And it even comes with sounds, because I can actually play sounds when I'm playing the message too. I don't think they choose the sound. Yeah, the sounds I think are hard-coded to what calls this. This just gets the message. There's stuff for level ups, there's stuff for halfway to level up. That way you know you're making progress, because sometimes you need because as you get later on, you need 1,000 XP, and you're getting 1 XP from hitting a guy or getting hit. It's going to take a very long time. You might wonder, is this even working? Here you go. You have a little reminder that, yeah, you're halfway there. Yeah, and there's a feature I haven't mentioned yet. There's form change. There's few of these. And there's an extreme Easter egg here. I honestly don't know if anybody's gotten the Easter egg message, because that's a very low chance. That's intended, because I assume some people are going to be changing outfits a lot. Right, because sometimes you might be streaming and somebody asks what outfit's that. There's a hotkey that will display the message in the upper left that actually tells you the name as it's found in the menu. So it'll give you the armor name. So Zephyrus' current form is Iron. I'd have to find out where the audio files are and how I can add that if I want to do that. But so far, that's not the case. I haven't done any SFX Easter eggs. It's just text ones. But yeah, that would be great if I ever figure out how to do that. But yeah, you're probably rarely going to use this for yourself. Maybe if you come back in like 3 months and like, what the heck is this outfit I've got on? And then you can maybe remember the key binding too, and just be like, yeah, that this is what I've got. There's messages for saving stuff and for loading sets as well. So that way, again, little reinforcement that yes, something did happen. And again, the catch-all error message that you should never get unless something has gone horribly wrong or someone else has begun coding on my mod. Let's see, level up. Yeah, Zephyrus creaks a bit less. Zephyrus joints are less stiff. Zephyrus' scrapes fade. Zephyrus rustles. Zephyrus hums faintly. Then an actual level up, there's Zephyrus reverberates with something. Zephyrus thrums with magicka. Zephyrus grows more robust. Zephyrus becomes closer to his second skin. Zephyrus' weight assures you. Stuff like that. Oh, there's also a logging feature too. Oh boy, where is the log? Actually, I think the log's spread out throughout Manager. Is it? Maybe it's... I feel like it would be called log XP. Okay, not XP log. Okay, so there's log XP and log level. So this actually, if you do the tilde key, you'll bring up the console log, or rather the console, and you see have the console history there up to a point. So this actually prints stuff to the console log. So there is a debug messages that you can toggle on with the flag, which gives you a lot of information that has helped me find some bugs while I was making this. But it's off by default, and if you turn it on, you're going to get deluged with stuff like, holy fuck, there's a lot of debug messages now. Like the set merge function, this thing recursively calls itself when it has to do multi-merge stuff. Like if you have, like as I said, like the shadow plate leggings that kick up both of your lower body slots, and you want to make a robe, it has to recursively call itself to like unmerge that stuff and then remerge, make sure it's all okay. Which, if you have the debug flag on, there's a lot of debug messages to the point that you actually max out the history on the console log and lose a lot of debugging data. So there are some parts where I just set the debug flag to off and close my eyes and then turn it back on later. But this is always on. This is just every time the level changes, you get a message, and it's even formatted. I mean, it's very limited formatting. The percent %Z was, I think that was a string, and then there's, yeah, I think it was a string. So that's just the name, and the percent %Bs actually make it blue color. So the actual level number is in white, and then all the other text is in blue, which makes it a lot easier to spot. And then XP is a similar deal, where it'll actually show you your current XP out of a max XP, and then it'll show you how much you just gained afterwards with a plus whatever. And then after that, with a tab, yet you don't know how many debug messages there can be. Oh boy. I think there might be an old screenshot I put into. Oh boy. Where did I put it? Because I feel like I definitely took a screenshot of this. I think I needed to use that to figure out how some stuff worked. No, I don't think I did. At least it's not in Butterfly Bistro. Or is it? If it is, it's very far up. Okay, it's probably not in Butterfly Bistro then, at this point. But yeah, this shows how much XP you gained just now. Like if you took a hit, this is how much XP that one hit gave you. It gives you your current total XP, then the total XP needed to level up. And then here it gives you a message telling you what you got the message from. Sorry, what you got the message from, what you got the damage from, or what you got the XP from. Which, for the most part, it will just say damage taken. That's like, so you know Oblivion has damage over time. I have, of course, logs that I need to log all the damage you take for the XP handler. And so I had to, of course, figure out how that works, especially because I was trying to figure out how it how to actually get how much damage you took from each element. And well, I can find the screenshot. Might have been in cargo doc, or it's not anywhere. I don't remember. It was like over a year, yeah, it's sort of been about a year ago of a posted, so it's very far back in the history, if anywhere. Yeah, I think I'll just look through my Steam screenshots at this point. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. All numbers. I forgot which one's Oblivion. I used to access this folder often, so I knew which one was which game. I don't remember anymore. Yeah. My cat has gotten a bit closer to me now. Yeah. He likes to sleep next to me as I'm sitting in my chair. He's just on the floor. So towards the bottom or towards the middle? Okay, that's not that. Mordhau. I haven't played Mordhau in, I think, over a year. Here's Oblivion. Okay. Now then, let's scroll through these. When do I get to that debug message? I started too high up. The debug stuff would have been way towards the end. I didn't get into modding until very close to the end of my playthrough. Well, making my own mods. Ugh. Huh, here's one thing that's been relevant. Alright, so here towards the bottom you can see the XP plus 1 and then a large number out of a large number. I think that was for Agramon, the XP logger. Obviously doesn't have as much formatting. When I took... okay. Yeah, I think I'll just scroll through here. Oh, that's a lot of screenshots. Oh yeah, because I had to take a lot of these for the mod page. Oh, here they are. Oh yeah, so this is some of the bug stuff that can happen. This was from, I think, when the error listener... this is when I was trying to get the error listener to work. And I tried some stuff, and it led to this. Which... yeah. Oh yeah. Here's some more verbose stuff. Oh, this is with the debug logging on. So you can see it tracks the fact that you got hit with damage health, you're hit with weakness to fire, and because it has no damage component, it just awards you a flat amount of XP. Yeah, I did. I think I streamed. Yeah, I streamed some of the debugging. Hit with weakness to shock, got hit with weakness to magic, hit with summon black blade. It's non-normal weapon because normal weapon and so there's magical weapons that resist normal weapons. Because resist normal weapons is a thing. And the weapons that ignore that, so I have to check which one. Because I'm only going to give you resist normal weapons XP if you get hit with normal weapons. So you took 72 damage, and you took 1 damage. I don't get why I did 2 instances, but that's just the game for you. Detected more than non-normal weapon damage, how gain resistance XP. Because there is no resistance effect for non-normal weapon damage. So you can just skip it if it's just that. No longer taking health damage. Right. I think why it says no longer taking health damage is because of how the dots are done, which is what I wanted to show. And then it'll give you total XP. So it's 317.18 out of 200 plus 87.86, and then in blue, damage taken. So that's the XP thing for Zephyros. Then I type in a console command to show the XP for magic. There's at 175. Here it is. Okay. So, if I have... yeah, I think I have 2 screenshots. This one's easier to read. Yeah, so here you can see it's still taking fire damage, frost damage, shock damage. So these 3 lines are supposed to pop up every millisecond or so. So within that time, we take this many ticks of damage. Isn't how Oblivion does damage over time? Is that it deals a very small amount of direct damage every frame, which results in a continuous drain. Looks nice in the end result, but just look at this debug log. This is 1 frame. I hit screenshot the moment I got the spell reflected. And this is how many ticks I got. From 1 frame of damage over time. It gets crazier than this with the debugging I have in some parts, but yeah, there's times where you just want to turn the debug off. Close your eyes. time really... Wait, what? It's 23:03. I think we're overtime. Yeah, 20:30. Oh man, we're a half hour over. Time sure flies when I'm talking about the past. More specifically, the... I enjoyed making this. This was something that really helped me get out of depression. Like, solidly so. This was probably one of the biggest factors to me getting a lot less depressed. But I'm still going to complain about it because holy fuck is this engine not good. Complain with joy. I know, right? That happens. It just happens. And having to parse through that, I mean, you learn how to parse through it. Because a lot of those messages end up just being repeats. So you find out where the first line is and where it came from there. But, oh god. Sometimes things are just too crazy. Ugh. But, let's see. I want to open up Manager again just to show it. Because there's like a huge initialization block. Yeah, that is actually a huge thing. Because, as I said, the main driving force behind making this monstrosity is I wanted to use it myself. I want to use it myself, and then I'm like, other people have given me ideas of how to make this better, even if I don't use it myself at that point. So that's where I came from. Where is it? Alright, so first we have to store the references for stuff. Then we have to call the default ini, initiate the default values, then we have to run batch script, which actually reads the ini file. So that way, because there's an error while it's reading, then none of the values it read passes through, so we do all the default values. It's nice like that. Debug print, because, in case you want to do that. Oh, right, I learned this the hard way with Spharegon. A lot of values don't actually... So, there are a lot of values that get wiped when you load a save. But there's some values that don't. They get carried over. And I forget which values get carried over, but if you don't account for that stuff, oh my god, are things going to get really messy and you won't know why. Yeah, so again, start with something very simple. The simplest thing you can think of, that the corest of the core features, and just get it working. Do not worry about how nicely it's coded. Do not worry about how hacked together it is. Do not worry about if it's a shit programming job or not. Just get it working. All that matters is that it works. That your chorus of core features works. And then take it from there. Oh, we have so many arrays. We have so many arrays. We have the arrays for all of the armor IDs, and then for the enchantment IDs. Yeah, that's basically what you should start with. And fishing, and fish in any water, or at a specific spots. If you want to do hot spots, I don't know. That's up to you. Just fishing in any water, anywhere, just water. You can fish in a bowl of water. Just take a bowl of water that's 3 inches deep. You can catch a trout in it, because your code does not care how deep the water is or where the water is, just that there's water and your line is in it, and it will give you a random fish. And that's that. You can catch a boot from a mug. Because your code just does not care. But it works. Then we have these huge ass freaking, oh gosh. Armor stats, enchant stats, default stats, that's more arrays of stuff. Because arrays just make it nicer. It's harder to read as a human when you use arrays, but it's nicer from a programming standpoint, because you only have to pass one variable to get a shit ton of data in. Exactly. As long as your line's in water, you are catching a fish. Oh boy. Oh yeah. There's also the. Here's something I did that I definitely didn't need to. But I did anyways, just to say like the user doesn't have to worry about it. Is the fact that if you mimic data, it has to get the file paths to the meshes from the stuff you're mimicking. And if you mimic some modded stuff and then you uninstall it later, well, now you have missing meshes in Sephiros. So I actually have a function for checking that those file paths are still valid, that they still exist, and then correcting them. Then, if they don't exist, then I actually tell the player, I think in the console log, that some stuff failed to validate, and then there we go. But this also does something else, which is the fact that it also checks the ID of the current form and matches it with a name. So that way, if I change the ordering of the array at all, this validate will make sure you still have the same stuff. It's like if you have iron armor at the first slot in the table, and then I move that to the 50th, this validate thing will make sure that you still have iron armor on when you load up the game, even though it's now in the 50th slot instead of the first. I think that's really cool, but it hasn't really come into play because I haven't updated that table since I actually made the function. Exactly. Get a boot from a mug, get a trout from a bowl, and get a whale from a puddle. Oh boy. What was I gonna show? Mimic data, validate mimic, get forms array. I think it was get forms array. Because, like, all this stuff, the form data that I showed you, the huge ass table that I had to split into 4 functions because it's literally too large to put into one script. I have a function, I think it was get forms array, that puts all of that into one array that I can then just use elsewhere. So all I have to do is edit the data in these tables and it takes effect everywhere else. Instead of into Spharogon where I had to change like 3 functions, or maybe 4, anytime I wanted to change the data. And then there's sets array. This is what I want to show, is the fact that I have to kind of semi-hard code the sets. So it's still an array, but I have to decide what constitutes a set and what to put in it. So there's obviously far less sets than individual stuff, because there's a lot of things that just don't have a set. Like there's just a hood by itself. Then I have this nifty function, find set, which will, if I can open that up, but what I remember it doing is I just pass it these names, and it's going to find them inside the giant ass table and give me the index to it so I can change the meshes to them. This way, this is basically index agnostic. It doesn't matter where iron is in the table. You'll get the iron set when you choose the iron option. It's not hard coded. It has to find the indexes every time. So hard coding would be faster in that point, but oh man, maintaining that. Yeah. A lot of sets. Some of these don't give full sets, like Dark Gothic. I think it just has. I think it was just like a shirt and pants, is all there is to the Dark Gothic set of clothing. So you obviously don't get the rest of it. Anywho, that's about it. Again, there's a big ass ini file. There's keybinds here for things. Oh, there's latency too. Because can't quite do interrupts, so I just have the main script, the manager function, run every 10th of a second while you're playing the game, and while you're in a menu, it runs every millisecond because there's not much going on in the menu. So with this, you because it has to. Is it damage line? Oh, that's damage taken. But still, there's other latency values that control how often things run. Actually, stream time is 2 hours for me. We're like 45 minutes over, so after this, I'm, yeah. I mean, this is usually how a coding stream goes. I do a little bit of work, and then I start complaining about the old stuff I did with joy. No, right? It really am. Yeah, I can't deny it. I am very proud of the mods I've written. Because there are some very, very asinine bugs. Very, maybe 1 out of 10 functions in both the engine and the extended scripts do not do what they say they do. Or they have some kind of hitch to them. Because they don't actually work properly all of the time. Fortunately, they're consistent. It's not like a random error every time. You can figure out how they work, then you have to work around them. But it's just, you do something and think, yes, it'll work, but then it doesn't work. And I have to figure out why it doesn't work and work around that. I know, right? I feel like you'll eventually immortalize that if it does happen. Yeah, there are a lot of things to check. Like, here we have enchantment stats, so this is the level internally that the armor will become enchanted, at which point you'll need journeyman repairman to fix it up yourself. This is how many levels it will ask you for an enchantment, and then when you level up, it will ask you for an enchantment, and here's all them base stats and their growth rates. So, you know, you get fortify stuff, restore fatigue. That's nice. Just a heavy armor multiplier, just the armor values. Oh, right, here's the weird thing. A really weird thing that Bethesda did for I can't tell why. Ooh, yeah, that would be nice. I probably would have gone with the RNG route of just making it like a 0.1% chance. But once every hour means it's common enough that people know it's a thing, but uncommon enough that people may not think they can get it. They may start to doubt it, and then it happens again. But here's the thing. The AR, as you know, is yeah, so you know it. Oh gosh, how to explain this? How do I explain this? That's real. I think I should explain it with the yes, the base stats. Oh my god, the base stats. Okay, so you know the AR shows like say it's a 7 or like a 5. Actually, I should use it here. So it'll show like a 7 in the UI for how much our armor rating that piece has. It's not a 7. It's a 700 on the back end. And everywhere in the UI it just uses 7, but on the back end in the engine it's 700. Why is it 700? At first I thought maybe it's to save space, because you know, an int takes up less space than a float. You don't use the decimal values, you just make an int and you just kind of do a little bit of math to it, you use less memory, but they have floats and they use them everywhere else. Even weight is a float. Value is a float. Value is actually has a float. That's a long. We have floats like everywhere in the game, but this one item is a pseudo float. Why? Why? Why in this one spot for armor rating did you make a pseudo float out of a short? That totally threw me for a loop, because I'm just like, let's set the armor to 7 and increase it by 1. And then I go in game, armor rating 0. What? As far as I've found, it's the only place in the entire engine that's just like this. And I have a comment for this too. Air Drive by Hunter is what the in-game UI uses. Because for whatever fucking reason, they decided to do this bullshit behind the scenes. Ooh, here's something else I forgot to mention. That procedurally generated table of contents, not here, here in this one. So you go here and you have this little, no, not there. There, this where it has the page ranges. It's shown pretty briefly, like page 1 to 3, page 7 to 9, that stuff. That is the table of contents, and that is dynamically generated, and this value here determines the size of the page ranges. And it can tell if the page range encompasses all of the pages, then it just skips the table of contents entirely and removes it and brings you straight into the first page. Yeah, I mean, there's times where that is a neat way to do it, but just like, why? It's inconsistent. Like everything Bethesda does, it's inconsistent. I guess so. Okay. Okay, that's enough rant. $50 minutes over. Yeah, Bethesda is built different. Oh man, the thing is, I'm kind of looking forward to like, because I've gotten many, at least I think maybe about a dozen requests so far over the past year to like port Sephiroth and Deuce Faragon to Skyrim, and I keep telling them when I'm completely done with it in Oblivion, I'll recreate it in Skyrim. And part of me is looking forward to it. Part of me is hopeful that they've improved the tools and the engine so there isn't so much bullshit. But on the other hand, it's Bethesda, and I probably shouldn't get my hopes up. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's how you should treat your first iteration of that fishing mod. Don't matter how it gets done, just get it done. Doesn't matter how bullshit it is. Or how much of the rest of the game it breaks, as long as you can fish in a puddle, it's fine. Well, it's been a great pleasure talking to you, Sobit. And as I've said in previous times we've stopped by, hope to see you again soon. Time I bid farewell. Turn the AC back on, because by golly, it's getting hot here. Honestly, I might. Oh boy. I was about to say I might keep an old version around for posterity's sake, because if you have some absurd things happening in the first iteration, if they're too absurd, I'd find ways to try and preserve them into the more functional variants. Yeah. Take care too, so, but have a good night.